Hello, I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to do a video all about summer perfumes. Because I'm so indecisive, I'm going to show you about 14 or 15 perfumes. I haven't quite decided yet because I really am that indecisive. And I'm going to divide them into sort of rough categories as well, as I tend to do in these kind of seasonal videos. So if you like that kind of content, then please consider subscribing, and also please like this video if you like this video. And if you're returning, then thank you so much. And also if you're a new subscriber, then I am so grateful. I've had so many new subscribers recently. I think both my empties video and also the science videos have been getting a lot of love. And that just, warms my heart basically. So thank you so much for that. So let's get on with this because I've got loads and loads of perfumes to show you. So the first category I'm going to talk about is tropical perfumes. That is really a very obvious category, isn't it, for the summer? Tropical perfumes. And the first one is probably the one that I think is the most summery in my collection. And this really does make me think of being on a cruise around a tropical island or being on a beach. It's just got that kind of feel about it, and that is Eau Croisière 2020 by Mugler. So this was a special edition, but it's still widely available in the UK for less than £50. This is just a really nice summer flanker to Angel. I wouldn't say it's got that much to do with Angel actually. There is a hint of patchouli underneath everything, but really it's very minimal. Really the main thing about this fragrance is a sort of pineapple-y rum cocktail feel to it. I know the listed note is fig, but it just doesn't smell like fig to me. It smells like pineapple. And it's so creamy. It feels almost like there could be like a coconut cream in this or something like that. But it's not coconut. It's such a confusing one. It doesn't smell like fig. So this is an EDT, but actually it's really long lasting, it really projects, and I think it's a great choice for the summer. So that's Eau Croisière 2020 by Mugler. So the next fragrance is the one in my collection that if somebody asked me to pick up the fragrance that most reminded me of sunshine, that I would choose. And that one is LM à la Folie by Lolita Lempicka. So this is discontinued, but it's still widely available. You can pick up a 30ml in the UK for less than £20. So this smells of sunshine because it smells yellow. And why does it smell yellow? Because it's got loads of ylang in it. Ylang is really the most prominent thing in this fragrance, and that gives it a tropical, almost sunscreeny vibe to it. There's also sandalwood and myrrh, and I think those two notes, along with the ylang, make me think of coconuts, roasted coconuts. And this just makes me think of holidays. I think if you don't like jasmine, you should stay well away from this one because there is a lot of jasmine here as well as the ylang. But honestly, if you like that sunscreen kind of vibe, this is a fragrance for you, and just a really good one. Really long lasting and really projects. Really striking for a summer's day, but ultimately you're bringing your own sunshine even if it's not sunny. So that's LM à la Folie by Lolita Lempicka. So my next kind of little category is going to be light vanillas, because I find that I quite like vanilla throughout the year as a base note, but I find it too much often in summer, and there are very few fragrances based around vanilla that I feel like I can wear in summer. So these two are things that are a little bit lighter, and they go in two different directions, these fragrances. So the first one goes kind of green and a little bit fruity, but mainly green. So this one is Theodorus Calatinus Alluring Fig. So this literally smells like you're standing by a fig plant. Not the fig fruit, just the plant. It's very leafy, very green, very natural. And as it dries, it gets more and more vanilla-y. So you get a very gentle, sort of, almost like an ice creamy vanilla. This is a very simple fragrance on the surface of things. All it is green notes and vanilla. But ultimately, that balance is so interesting. And it's just so well done, as with a lot of Theodorus Calatinus fragrances. I've tried quite a few now, thanks to Paula, and they've all impressed me. I've not had a dud yet. They're all good. So yeah, check out Alluring Fig by Theodorus Calatinus. So the next summer vanilla that I've got for you is Metal Wave by All Saints. So this one goes in a totally different direction to Alluring Fig. This is a woodier vanilla. This is something that has a very cool metallic feeling about it. It's something that's almost papery. It makes me think of pencil shavings, Scandinavian clean-lined apartments. It makes me think of blonde woods. It also makes me think of unsmoked cigarettes. It's got that definite woody, papery, metallic feel to it. I really like this one. I think the vanilla in this, again, is very similar to how the vanilla is in Theodorus Calatinus Alluring Fig. It's something that's very light, very airy, not overly gourmand at all, definitely more of a woody vanilla, and just great all year round really, but great for the summer as well. It's something that does project a little bit and also does last quite well on my skin. I would say I can wear this one and still smell it after a day's work. I think this one is just really nice and underrated. I think this fragrance is regarded as a dupe for Eau de Well by Diptyque. I have gone to smell that one and I did think that they smelled very similar. So if you're looking at Eau de Well by Diptyque, you might want to look at Metal Wave because it's a lot cheaper. So that's Metal Wave by All Saints. So the next couple of fragrances are classic designer fragrances that I think work well in the summer. They're ones you perhaps wouldn't think of as summer fragrances, but I just think these two are really something that can shine in the summer. So the first one is Aura by Mugler. So this is a green, luscious vanilla fragrance. But I think the reason this works well in the summer is it's got ylang ylang. And the ylang ylang really is the most prominent floral for me in this fragrance. I never used to be able to smell the rhubarb, but I think now because I've got other fragrances with rhubarb, I notice it more. The rhubarb doesn't really smell that sour to me. I think it smells more like a rhubarb ice cream, so there's kind of like a balance to the tartness with it. I think because of all that vanilla and the ylang ylang, and it's just a really sort of smooth, luscious, green vanilla fragrance. Really does make you think of rainforests. It feels like, you know, there's condensation dripping on you wearing this one. So yeah, that's my pick from the designer's Aura by Mugler. So the next fragrance is one that's often described as a fragrance for a vampire on holiday, and that is Versace Crystal Noir EDT. So this one is something that I don't really understand with perfumes. I don't really understand why people think this is dark and mysterious. I think this one is just a really good signature scent worthy kind of perfume. It's something that's really distinctive. It's like nothing else that I've ever smelt. It's something that really lasts. It's something that really projects. And I just think it's a really good perfume and it's absolutely perfect for the summer. So with this fragrance, I remember when I first got it and I couldn't work out what I was smelling. But now I feel like what I really get is a really green blackcurrant to begin. And then it goes a little bit more creamy. So there's fig and sandalwood in this fragrance, and sometimes for me that can translate as like more of a coconutty feel. But there's also a really creamy white floral, and it feels a little bit tropical. Sadly, I think this fragrance has been recently reformulated again. I think it's only just happened, so if you go out and buy a bottle, you might be lucky enough to find the older ones. There's also an EDP, which I think was discontinued in the US, but isn't discontinued in the UK. I have tried the EDP, and I would say that I prefer the EDT over the EDP, but each to their own. I don't think there's not masses of differences between them, even though the notes are quite different. They do smell quite similar. The attraction of the EDP is that it actually does have coconut in it, whereas the EDT doesn't, although it does smell like it. So that's Versace Crystal Noir EDT. So the next category of summer perfumes I want to talk about are beachy fragrances. So these are the ones that remind me of the sea, that make me think of like minerals, rocks, sand, and just, yeah, like being on a beach basically. So I could talk about Chant d'Extase, I could talk about Womanity, but I'm not going to today. I'm going to talk about Alien Mirage. So Alien Mirage is one that I wore quite a lot last summer. It's something that I think really works in really, really hot weather. I remember at one particular occasion when I went to my friend's house and it was the hottest day of the year, and this fragrance smelled amazing that day. I will never forget how good I thought this fragrance smelled. So this one is an Alien flanker, but honestly, if you don't like Alien, you might still like this flanker, because I really do feel like they're the most distant of cousins. They are things that really haven't ever met, and will probably not even go to the same funerals. They're that distant. So this fragrance starts out quite fresh and aquatic. As it dries, it becomes more powdery. It feels like it's filling up with pollen. Overall, this is just a really soft, aquatic feeling floral fragrance, but it does have that almost piercing feeling of jasmine, but it isn't jasmine. And I think that's what I find quite fascinating about this fragrance, that they've kind of made an alternative Alien. So this fragrance dries down to a sort of metallic-y musk, and I just find this fragrance something that I love all stages of, and I think it really lasts and it really projects really well as well. It's just a really nice one for summer. So that's Alien Mirage by Mugler. The next fragrance is one that was really one of my favourites last year, and I retried it this year, and do you know what? I'm not so sure about it, but I actually really love the dry down, and I've been mixing it with lots of different other fragrances to try and see how I feel about it. But I'm going to include it here because it really was one of my summer favourites last year, and I still do like it, but I'm smelling different things in it. So that is Calvin Klein's Reveal. So this one is really salt and pepper forward in the opening, and it's something that I think is off-putting to a lot of people. But I think the thing that I'm now smelling in it that I didn't smell before is that this smells to me like you've been on a beach, and it smells like when your swimming costume is drying and perhaps, you know, you've got a bit of sand on it and stuff like that. So this is salty, marine, slightly dirty, musky, and also woody. And it sort of has a little sort of touch of almost like a salted caramel feel about it on top of all of those things. And really when it dries, that's what you get. You get the sort of salted caramel feel, but it's not really like a sweet feeling. It's more like a woody salted caramel. And that's what I like about this fragrance. I like the dry down, and I like to layer this one. And I've been layering it with Alien Eau Extraordinaire. So this is a very citrus heavy kind of jasmine fragrance, and that goes really well with this fragrance. But yeah, an interesting fragrance. So that's Calvin Klein's Reveal. So the next category are my fruity fragrances, and I'm trying to keep it quite natural here, but there is one that's very much more natural than the other. The other one is really quite synthetic, and sometimes I just find synthetic fragrances a little bit joyous. I think there's something sort of gloriously beautiful about something smelling a little bit fluorescent. So let's go with the natural one first. So the natural one is Found at Dusk by Miller Harris. So this is one that I was lucky enough to find in TK Maxx. And yeah, it's just like it has got a lot of fruitiness, but there's also a lot of greenness. So there's a mint note, there's also some tomato leaves, and there's also basil in this fragrance. But really the thing that you really get is the blackcurrant as it dries down. The blackcurrant is really prominent and it becomes fruitier. It's just a really nice green, sort of slightly damp smelling fragrance. It smells like just before a storm, like you're in the shade waiting for some storm clouds to gather and for it to rain. It's got that sort of hot, humid air about it. This fragrance I've talked about a lot, so I'm not really going to go into too much detail here, but just safe to say it's made me think that I want to try other Miller Harris fragrances because this one is just so interesting and so natural smelling to me. So that's Found at Dusk by Miller Harris. So at the other end of the fruity fragrance line, I'm going to pick something that I do think smells quite artificial, but gloriously so, and that is Toy 2 by Moschino. So this one is just really fun. This is a really bright apple fragrance, and it does have a white currant note in it as well. And my garden when I was little had white currant bushes in it as well as black currant bushes in it, and this fragrance is spot on for white currant. So this one really reminds me of travel sweets. It makes me think of those powdered, you know, solid hard candies that you get in tins, the green ones. Makes me think of those. So this has watery sparkling florals, and it also has really uplifting citrus notes in it as well. It just feels really fun and fruity, and something that is just going to make you smell really ultra clean. I think the thing I really like about this fragrance is the dry down. So it transforms from this really fresh, fruity fragrance into something that then turns into a very musky fragrance. And it's a very, very clean, very almost sort of clinical musk about it. There's something almost detergenty about it. And I think that sort of clean aesthetic is very Moschino. It's something that they do really well. It's something that there is in all their fragrances. They always have this citrusy musk in the dry down. So if you like that kind of thing, if you like a really, really clean, almost, you know, laundry style musk, this is the one to go for. So that's Moschino's Toy 2. So the next category is rose, and I've got two very fresh, summery roses fragrances for you. And the first one is Balenciaga's Flora Botanica. So this is getting hard to find now. It's been discontinued along with all of Balenciaga's other fragrances. But this really is a classic, and it's one that I picked up towards the end of the year last year. So I've not really had my first summer with it yet, but I'm really looking forward to wearing this one in the really hot weather. So this one is a very green aromatic perfume with a really strong rose note in it. So the rose here is more like a rose water kind of rose. And it's also got carnation, mint, and even a cannabis note in this fragrance. Joss did a video a couple of weeks ago and she described this one as a fragrance with a grunge aesthetic, and I would totally agree with that. I can see in my mind someone wearing this who's wearing a floral dress, has got wellies on and is off to a festival. This one lasts the whole day on me and it does project a little bit. This one is just an ultimate classic and I'm so pleased to have this one. So that's Balenciaga's Flora Botanica. So the next rose fragrance that I've got is L'Eau d'Issy Florale by Issey Miyake. These fragrances are all really well priced and they generally last really well on me. I really like a lot of the L'Eau d'Issy line. I kind of bought this one as a bit of a replacement to Lancome's Miracle because it's got a similar vibe. Lancome's Miracle makes me think of like crisp white shirts, and this one does the same kind of thing, even though they do have quite different notes. So this one is a very watery feeling, aquatic kind of rose fragrance with quite a woody, creamy feel towards the end of it. I think this one is just a really simple, really nice, fresh feeling rose fragrance, perfect for the summer, and it's just an easy reach. So that's L'Eau d'Issy Florale by Issey Miyake. So the final category in this summer fragrances video is going to be citrus, and citrus is one of my favourite fragrance categories for the summer. But it's one that I don't really have that many fragrances that fall in that category really, not purely in that category. The one that I wore non-stop last year, the one that was really my summer fragrance, was Moschino's Funny. So this is just so nice because it's not your typical citrus. This isn't that bright kind of make you smell like orange juice kind of citrus. This is a very bitter citrus and it has tea in it as well. You get that kind of greenness. There's oak moss here as well that adds to a little bit of the bitterness. And there's also like watery florals. So there's my favourite peony, and there's also cedarwood. So you do get that kind of woodiness as well. I think the thing I like about this fragrance is that it does stay quite true to that bitter orange feeling. For me, it doesn't really fade, and I find that unusual in citrus fragrances. I think for me, this fragrance is just very clean feeling again, much like the other Moschino. It has that signature musky dry down that Moschino fragrances tend to have, that citrusy musk. And I just really like it. I think that this one is actually really super cheap as well. You can get this huge 100ml bottle for like £20. Complete bargain, definitely one to check out. So that's Moschino's Funny. So a summer fragrance video would not be complete without a light blue fragrance, would it? It just says summer in a bottle, doesn't it? Light blue. So the one I'm going to choose is Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Love is Love. So this fragrance is very much along the lines of the traditional light blue DNA. So it has that really sharp apple, the really sharp lemon, and it also has the cedarwood. And actually, you know, the beginning is all about the sharpness. It's all about that sort of sharp intake of breath with the lemon and with the apple, but there's also a really sharp berry note in this as well. As it dries, it becomes less sharp and it becomes sweeter. And actually the special thing about this fragrance is that it has raspberry, and it's also meant to have some kind of ice cream-like note about it. I personally don't smell something that I would recognise as ice cream. It's something that to me smells more like a sugar. I've been trying this one out for a few months now, on and off. Every time I wear this, no matter what the weather conditions, the longevity on this is really not good. So if you want a long-lasting fragrance, this isn't the one for you. So that's Light Blue Love is Love. So that's the final perfume in this summer fragrances video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, please press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And also please let me know down below which is your favourite summer fragrance or fragrances, and which ones will you be reaching for this summer? Do you have any plans to pick up any new ones? Which ones do you think I should check out? So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.